Hello, and welcome to the Kreative Devices Mobile Podcast, a podcast created for all creative devices users to tell their story and to help bring even more creative awareness to the world. Today, we're joined by the one and only Mr. Ed Diaz. How you doing, brother?
How you doing, man? Great to be here. Great to see ya. Just uh, just here for a while to share with you guys.
Yeah, man. You and I have been having messages back and forth on Instagram talking about this call for quite some time. It's finally here.
Yeah, it's finally here. We've had some great conversations, talking about a whole bunch of things, and can't wait to share, man. Can't wait to share.
Awesome. So, what's been going on with you? Well, before we even get into that, first let's talk about who you are and what you do.
So, basically, what I started out to do was be a solo artist, like about 9 years ago, just recording my own music. That was one of the main goals.
Mm.
On this, obviously, as a by side effect of that, I also teach guitar, and mainly on social media, I do shred performance videos, and I have my Instagram, and I also have my Facebook, really in that line of work. I have around 30 songs already recorded by the project called Incendium Fuzz, and you can listen to all of that on all major platforms. And I also do quite a lot of video um, content for the internet in terms of performances, short lessons to uh, to share with people, man, and connect and create relationships, which is like the most important thing for me.
Nice, nice. So basically, you're a super guitar player extraordinaire.
I try, man. I try. A lot of practice to get to that point, but I think the reaction, the response from everybody around my peers, and it kind of goes in that direction. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, what's been going on with you? I know we started talking about a little bit about it in the beginning. You mind sharing with everyone else as well?
Yeah, as like for right now, I'm really in this stage, really concentrating on teaching, which has been a big part of one of my passions about music. So teaching has been a thing, getting more students and working on that. That has been probably the priority the last couple of weeks. And also, I'm always writing. This project that I made in 2018, Incendium Fuzz, is is a great passion of mine because it gives me an outlet to make music and
Mm.
still keep myself present in terms of the industry. And that's very important because as a solo artist you gotta have music out there. That's your resume, in my opinion. So those two things are mostly what I'm focused on, and the rest of the time is just probably gear, like we all do, gear talk, talking about guitars, amps, pedals, computer stuff related to production, to making music using machines, and in this case, the laptop that I have from Creative Devices. And yeah, that's the other part of it.
Awesome, awesome. You know, we talk about you being a teacher, and we all started from somewhere. Where did you start? What were your beginnings from? What made you want to play guitar? Was it a person, a band? How did you start playing? What were you using? Walk us through your story, if you will.
Man, it all started when I was 12 years old. I had a friend. His name is Alex. He was like playing Randy already, and he was probably a year or two older than me. And I just saw that,
Hmm.
in front of your face, and that really started to really interest me. And afterwards, a friend of mine gave me a blank cassette, and it
Hmm.
didn't say anything. And he just told me, "You got to listen to this guy." And I listened to it, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that it had so much beautiful melody, and at the same time the speed and everything. And it resulted that it was Ingrid Malmsteen's first album, Black Star, Rising Force. And that really lit the spark to at least take it seriously in terms of, okay, I'm going to buy a guitar and I'm going to start practicing and learning about all this music that I just heard that really inspired me. And so I got my first Strat. I got used one of these. I think it was a Hondo Strat, And
Mm.
I got a little digital amplifier that probably had like 50 watts, 40 watts, and I just started with that. And initially, I didn't take lessons because, well, I wasn't sure what was going to happen in terms of if I was going to go down that direction. I was just experimenting with the sound. But I did eventually end up taking lessons maybe a year or two later because I found myself really in a spot where I needed to learn more and have direction, right? Because as soon as you start getting into it, you recognize that this isn't guitar isn't so easy as it seems. It's actually kind of difficult. We have to make it easier to learn. So I basically did that until then. In the '90s, I heard the death metal movement from out of Florida, which hit really big when I was in my teens, and that also inspired me a lot. When I heard James Murphy, when I heard Chuck Schuldiner, when I heard all these bands, obviously Cannibal Corpse, Obituary, all these bands, and European bands, like Entombed, Cancer, Grave. That whole thing just gave me another wind in terms of like, okay, so I can play really heavy music and still have this melodic sense to it, right? And that just gave me like a really nice direction. And I would say right after that, I started playing in bands. I learned how to play while I was jamming. And I think a lot of people learned that way too. So me and the friend that was a drummer, we just got together and started just playing covers of our favorite death metal songs. Gorefest, um, Death, anything that we could play that we knew we could, pull off. We would try to play it. And that, from there, man, as soon as I learned how to play with a drummer and had a really nice sense of rhythm and riffing, it kept going. I had another challenge in terms of my playing when I was maybe 18 or 19 years old when I tried to learn how to play the blues. Not a good experience at the beginning. I had to really hunker down and take it seriously. But it was one of those things that if you wanted, I learned that if I wanted to keep going in terms of my growth and knowledge of the instrument, I had to learn how to play the blues. And that really also combined with like the neoclassical stuff and the death metal stuff gave me like a unique perspective of what I wanted to do musically. And then after that, man, I've been active playing in bands.
Mm.
In the scene, the metal scene in Puerto Rico, I played in a few good bands that were signed and had good exposure. And then teaching has always been the other most thing that I've done on the side besides playing that. I did the solo thing after maybe 10 years of just playing around in bands and touring and all that, because I just couldn't find musicians, man. All the all the people that were playing were in other bands, or they didn't want to give it a try, or I don't like excuses. I'm a full in guy. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 110%. So if you're not, if somebody's not on that same page, well, we're not going to get along. We're probably not going to make it work. So that makes it even harder to find musicians to play. So I just decided with the technology that we have nowadays, with the things that were coming up, I decided to start recording myself. That was the first step. Just recording myself, simple things, drum, bass, and guitar. And I evolved from that slowly. The workability, how to set things, everything up, the DAW, the different, VSTs that we had back then. Obviously, I started using the VSTs and everything probably when they started coming out. The real good ones started coming out like around 2008, 2009. So since then, I've been doing that, always recording, learning how to do it a little bit better each time. And it's evolved to a point where now I can make decent music to my ears, and be really happy with it. Really, really feel inspired about when I listen to it back. It's not something that I cringe, right? It's something that I appreciate, and I say, man, I feel good that I'm able to express myself at this level now. And the machines and the one of the parts that I've really found out that's very important is at the beginning I didn't have the best computers. I didn't have the best interfaces. I mean, I was talking bare minimum. Really, just one channel, very low resolution in terms of sound and sound engines, all that kind of thing. And it just was. I had computer speakers. I didn't even have monitors, proper studio monitors. It was a really basic setup just for me to get my hands on how to do it. But I learned the workability outside of it. How to set up tracks, how to actually record basic stuff and make it sound decent. And that took me to buying better PCs, and because I started out with I had always a PC, but it wasn't strong enough. It wasn't good enough to handle like maybe more than 4 tracks at a time without crashing. So that was always a challenge for me, finding a machine that could hold up. And as most of us do at the beginning, and in those stages, I bought a computer, a gaming PC. And that was the first time I actually had a computer that I could record something a little bit decent. And I'm sure everybody has done that at some point in their journey, trying to get to find the right machine. I did try the competition, let's say, for a while, and I just the workability was not there. I couldn't get stuff done at the same pace I was doing before. So, and there's other things like pricing and how it's just really expensive stuff if you want to get it. But I went back to PC, and then after that, I've always been searching for something specific for music creation. I've always thought that if you don't need something in your process of creation, then you shouldn't have it. So if I wanted a computer for just music production, all I need is that, and the best options for that, and not be fishing around having like maybe what happened when I bought a gaming PC, which is not designed for that, but because it has all these other specs, it helps to get closer to that, right? So yeah, that's how the evolution has been. Started out when I was 12 years old. Took it seriously at my like I was 18. Had great influences, great teachers, private teachers. I did have not many schools, and then when I started recording was the next phase of what I've been doing for the last 9 to 10 years, and still, always looking for the best workable, or that gives me the workability, I might say, and to record, because nowadays everything's really fast. You have to make something, put it out there. 2 or 3 weeks later, put another one out there. Songs, EPs. You have to constantly be creating content and music, and you need to have some type of backup in terms of machines, in terms of um, programs, VSTs, DAWs, anything you can get your hands on to keep up with what's going on out there. So that's been mostly what I've been doing lately. And I'm glad I stumbled across the Creative Devices, across you guys, because that has been a game changer. I mean, it's been a big, big game changer for me, especially in this last year. It's been a year already since I bought my last machine. So, yeah, it's been a year. I just realized that a couple of days ago. And in that year, I've had, just the best experience with the machine in terms of how I work. And that would be the biggest takeaway. Usually, what I would do is I would for if I was recording, I would probably use 2 tracks for guitars, 2 tracks for drums, 2 tracks for bass, and then some effects, maybe a track or two, and then 2 tracks for lead. So we're talking about 10 tracks around there. Any other computer, I would mount all those tracks in the DAW with a VST, each one of them, with the basic EQ. It would probably crash halfway through. And if it didn't crash, when I started recording, it would freeze because it couldn't handle all those VSTs running at the same time, so many tracks running at the same time, etc., etc., etc. So I had to limit what I was going to create to I knew I couldn't go over 4 tracks. I knew I couldn't do certain things, and that hindered my creative process. So when I got in touch with you guys, and I want to make a parenthesis here just to say also that I remember when I got mine, I did have the opportunity to speak with you. So you helped me choose what I really needed. And that's something that's, customer service to the top, man. And that's something that's really important when you're trying to get a creative devices. Yeah, a creative device, computer, because laptop, because it's about creating relationships. Most of the time, when you're trying to buy a product, especially us as musicians, we want everything for free, or we want this, or we want that. We're looking for other advantages. I'm about creating relationships with anyone that I'm interested in what they have. And I think from the first day we talked, I told you that I really believe in what you're doing. I like what you're doing, and I just need you to tell me what I need for my needs, right? And that was also a great thing, that I just wanted to point out. And yeah, going back to the computer, to the laptop. I keep saying computer. It's the laptop. Um,
It's a computer.
yeah,
It's a laptop computer, but yeah.
I quickly found out what I was missing, man. The speed, the power of the machine. I can load up as many tracks as I want, different VSTs, even sometimes VSTs that are kind of heavy in terms of the CPU usage or whatever. Anything that I wanted to do, basically, I got back to doing on the computer, and then the workability of it is even more insane. So I could do all these tracks at the same time, change VSTs, speed,
Mm.
no problem. How they sound, no problem, great. No worries with storage, because the computer, the one in my particular that I have, has a lot of storage, so it's not going to get. I only have all my recording programs and VSTs on this computer, so it's not. I don't even have social media on it, even though I could use it for that. But the purpose of just making a lot of music and keeping it there, so that doesn't hinder the computer also. So all
Mm.
those things talk to me about really how good the computers are, and how they have helped me. And I think 90%, 95% of people who have them are pretty much having the same experience that I am. Noticing how really powerful and great the machines are for creating music. And to me, that's all what it's all about. I don't need, this fancy $3,000 computer that's gonna, no. If I play something that works and it's affordable and it's fair and it does the job, you're definitely right. I'm gonna get it. And I think Creative Devices is that.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Thank
I
you.
was listening to you just now, and I was remembering you and I were talking before you even got your laptop from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were messaging about stuff because you had saw somebody with the laptop, and you were asking questions, and we just started talking about stuff. Found out we're both guitar players. We just started talking about music and all the stuff that we had in common. We built a cool relationship, and the computer thing just kind of came after that,
Yeah.
because I remember talking, like messaging with you somewhere around the end of '03. No, I mean 23,
Yeah.
right? So the end of 23, we were messaging, and then later on, you ended up getting a laptop, and you ended up getting a tablet
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But you know, your relationship is one of the few that has come out of this whole thing that it means a lot to me, man.
Man, thanks. Thanks a lot,
It's,
bro.
just, it's hard to find someone that has so much in common, you know, understands so much. Like your brilliant mind when it comes to guitar, I
Thanks a lot, bro.
highly respect it. Highly respect it.
Thanks a lot.
You know. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Now, we know that you were using different machines before, and you got the Creative Devices laptop. You basically explained how it was. Is it safe to say that if someone were to ask you for a recommendation for a laptop, let's say someone wanted to get started, they didn't have a lot of money, but they needed a device to help them get their creative ideas across. Is it safe to say that you'd recommend a Creative Devices laptop to them?
100%, man. 100%. It's funny because it's already happened. A few people have seen me promote what I have, and they've been asking me about the machines, and I straight up tell them, if you're looking for something to work on your music, to record, it's been, I see a lot more musicians asking me than any other people. You definitely have to give them out a try. Some people don't know what it is when I'm talking about it, and I take the time to tell them, hey, you got to check these machines out if you're in the process of making an upgrade. Because sometimes I have friends who are just starting out. They're learning how to record, how to deal with all this, right? Because, like I said, having music out there is kind of like your resume. You have to have a decent, you know, some songs out there, just put it that way. And usually I end up talking about Creative Devices. And I tell them, hey, you should get in contact. You can ask questions. They will guide you through the process. If you have any doubts, they have options. So I always do that whenever anybody asks me about the machines. And I would definitely, make the comparison in terms of what they would get for the same price compared to other companies or other brands. So yeah, I'm definitely down always to promote what I think is fair and it's super cool. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's just a badass thing to have. I'm sorry if I said the word, but it's something.
Okay.
It's something that's
So this is it's a natural conversation. You say whatever you want, man. You know.
yeah. Um, yeah, like I said, it's just also a great experience of having a machine that's so responsive, that's so powerful. And for example, like I said, all my recording software is on that machine, and it's not even scratched it in terms of usage and memory and power. It's just she's like, I can do this every day, all day, 2 or 3 times of what you already have in it. And that to me is what I like that to have as a reserve to use as a machine.
Yeah. You know, a lot went into these devices, and people ask me all the time, what makes Creative Devices different from the other guys? Like, why would I get a Creative Devices over some other brand? Enter whatever brand name here. They all make good devices in a way, right? What makes us different is we're not trying to sell you whatever the latest and greatest is, because newer doesn't always mean better, but it always means more expensive,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
The latest processors they're advertising now, this AI thing, it's not really helping you create your music or your videos or your render, whatever it is you're doing creatively. It's not really helping you. In fact, if you want something AI that's going to help you, ChatGPT is free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really just need a strong powerhouse machine that's going to let you do it's going to work as the tool that you need it to be to do help you do what you need to do. You need it to be as powerful, if not more powerful, than whatever other people are selling, and at a price that's reasonable. If you take your laptop, for example, you have our first gen notebook Pro 16. It has a 20 thread monster CPU. You've got 64 gigs of RAM and however much storage you decided to go with at the time. If you put something like that together, that's thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like thousands, 3,000 or more.
Yep.
And when you compare the performance of that processor, it's beating out some of these newer processors. So what are you paying all that extra money for? And even the processors we have today, which are more powerful, it's the same thing. What are you paying all this extra money for? On top of it, these other companies, they don't allow you to customize things. We allow you to customize it how you want. You choose now, you can choose a certain amount of RAM and storage, upgrade it yourself later, or buy it with no RAM, no storage. If you already have supporting RAM and storage, why pay for something you don't need? Add whatever you want yourself. You know how many people come to me and say they love the fact that they can buy our stuff bare bones with no RAM or storage, you'd be surprised how many people order it that way. Because for them, it's like they already have RAM or storage, or if they were to buy a machine, they're particular and they're going to take that RAM and storage out and they're going to put even higher spec RAM and storage in. So they'd rather buy it without, put in what they want, and then just install Windows. It's so simple. Not to mention the customizable options like your logo on the laptop,
Yeah.
which looks great, by the way.
Yeah, thanks,
You know,
man. That is that's part of what makes it a great brand. You know, you mentioned two or three things there that you can't get anywhere else. You know, the customizable power and storage. That's big. I don't know of any other company who's doing that on like, well, you know, on the fly like that. The customizable exterior with your logo, that's always a plus. You know, it just gives it a little bit more of that professional look if you have your brand or if you're trying to just promote yourself also. And not paying for what you don't need. That was a big one. If you don't need it, you don't need to add it on or make it part of the you know, creative process when you're ordering your laptop. And that was one of the big things I think we and you talked about going back and forth about what I probably needed and this or that. It was okay. So if I'm
Mhm.
not going to use it for this type of things, I don't need that, right? Oh, no, you don't. Or I don't need that type, that much storage or that much RAM. So let's just go with this. And that's invaluable because we're not all computer experts. I'm not. I know how to use them, and I know how to use my programs that I use inside of them. But the other details, you know, I'm not that much versed in them. So that's when I think the expertise of somebody like you can come in and help us decide, maybe, man, you don't need that much, or you could probably use this combination, and that'll help you get the job done for what you want. And you're not gonna spend so much, right? Because the more stuff you add, the more it's gonna cost. If you add what you just need, then you're gonna get a much fairer price. And that's a
Mhm.
big selling point also for the Devices laptop. They're very, very fair priced. You know, they're not hyping you up, giving you something, promising something, and then when you get it, it's not what you expected, and then you overpaid for something. No. I consider that one of the biggest selling points, and one of the things that really attracted for me was that I'm getting a lot of performance, I'm getting a lot of storage RAM, things that I know that I need for a fair price. And I'm pretty sure that what I got is good because you know I went to the source. I talked with the person that I think is the indicator one to get the information. So yeah, man, I think in terms of that, there is very little competition, and it's just something that'll gives the company these laptops an edge that I think people are starting to dig.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
You know, and like you said, you can use it for your brand, like how you have your logo on the laptop. You could put it on your tablet, on your accessories, on your merchandise, you know, whatever. No one else is doing all of that. The whole point is, like I keep saying, for creators by creators. We're creators too.
Hmm.
We want to make sure that everyone has the options that we would want as well. You know, how's that tablet, by the way?
It's working fine, man. Actually, it was a gift for my wife, so she's using it more than I am, obviously, and
Okay.
it's working very well, man. She loves it. She loves how the format of the laptop is, and obviously we customized it.
Mhm.
Has her name on it
Mhm.
real nicely, and the color we chose was also obviously another plus. So yeah, the
Cool.
tablets are great, man. They're very good, very efficient, and obviously very well priced for what you get from them.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So now we've talked about the laptops and with your laptop and some of the other ones that we have. Uh, Lots of people have done video reviews on our products, and we've watched some of them, and we've had conversations about some of them. We've laughed about a few things, you know.
Yeah,
Uh, Man, how your fans doing, by the way?
man, my fans are sounding very, very good. No problem here with that. But you know, I think we even talked about that. Even though we take that as a laughing point because some of those things are adherent to the nature of having machines, right? There's these things that people have expectations about that are not realistic. But even things like that, there's a learning process there. There's always something to learn about, how the consumers, how people think about machines and how they want them. And yeah, the that was just maybe we can use it as a learning experience for people who are learning about certain things related to the machines. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
but it was a great laugh. We um, just got to put it in perspective of what it really means.
Well, for those who are wondering what
Yeah.
we're talking about sound of the fans on the machines. So our laptops are performance devices. They're made for performance. Performance is priority. They're made so that you can run them for weeks or months. They won't overheat. They won't thermal throttle. And in order to do that, the fans have to be powerful enough to maintain certain temperatures. All of our devices don't require the same amount of cooling. If you have a Pro 16 like Ed does, you're barely going to hear it. If you have something with an additional dedicated graphics card like our Graphics Series G16, you might hear it more. But so many people have that laptop, and the majority of people never say anything about the fans because it's necessary. That you understand, right? It's got to stay cool. Have you ever heard like remember the Intel MacBooks? You remember when they start to heat up?
Yeah.
Not only did they overheat, but you can hear the fan spinning to try to keep it cool, and it's going crazy. It's basically something like that, except it's not overheating and it's not thermal throttling.
Yeah.
But those worked, and people used them and there was no problems. But now all of a sudden, because some company decided to put ARM chips in their devices, which are what's in cell phones and tablets, so you don't need to hear a fan. Now all of a sudden, people expect everything to be the same way. It doesn't make any sense,
No,
you
no,
know.
no. And I like I said, I think that's part of like a learning curve for people to understand what the machines are all about. And obviously, explaining it like you just did, it gives you the answer to your question. It's not that
Mhm.
they're just sounding because there's something wrong with them or because that's a flaw in their design. No, there's a purpose behind that. And obviously it's everybody has a different idea about that, but we obviously know that's part of what makes the machine great. I think if you have
Yeah.
such a great cooling system, you're going to have much better performance. That's simple math.
Mhm.
I have something here. Can we break just 1 minute, or is
Sure.
okay? Give me 1 minute, I'll be right back.
All right. So now that we got the fans out of the way, uh, so you're doing all of these things. You're teaching, you're recording. What's next? What's on the game plan? What can we expect to see from you and your project between now and let's say the next 5 years?
So one of the things that I really want to get back to is teaching full time. I'm already teaching, you can say part time, but I would like to get back to teaching full time, which is a great passion I have. And also, it gives me an income that I can really, use, significant income that I can really use. So it's more than one thing, obviously. That's going to be like the long term goal to try to get that. And then I always have. So here's what I did the last 3 months of last year. I made myself a plan to the goal to make three more songs before the end of the year for my project Incendium Fuzz, just to get to that magic number of 30, which is my goal. Have 30 songs by the end of the year. So I did that. I sat down, head down, started writing, recording, mastering, putting them out there until I got my goal of number 30, right? So moving forward, that would be something also that I would try to do. You know, keep making music for Incendium Fuzz project. Um, I still am not sure how I would probably do this if were trying to play that music live. Finding bandmates and all that kind of thing with this how things are nowadays is really hard, and especially if you want to try to play your own original music. It's pretty hard. So I'm not looking at that as a possibility, even though I would love to play that music live. But maybe using some backing tracks. I could probably see myself doing that in the future, playing my own original music from Incendium Fuzz. And like I said, those three things would be it, man. Try to get back to a full time schedule of teaching, keep recording, making music for that project. Maybe even do something a little bit different in terms of styles of music, you know, because I do play acoustic guitar also. And I do have a fond feeling for maybe playing some blues and stuff like that. So incorporating that, you know, everything you can into what you're doing. And go from there, man. If I get the chance to at least once a month play my songs, even though it's with backing tracks, that would be super cool because that is playing live beats it. You know, there's nothing like that. That's the maximum experience right there.
Yeah, I miss being on that stage. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's the reason we do it, man. People, if
Mm.
you've experienced it before, the reason we do it is to get on that stage and just rage, man.
And you know the crazy thing is, for me, and I know everyone's not the same. For me, it's not even about the feeling of, oh, all these people are here to see me. I don't even think about that. It's really just I want to share this music with everyone. And that's what's exciting for me. It's like I get to share this music with all of these people. And that's what makes it so great.
That is what makes it so great.
Yeah.
Sharing your music, sharing how you feel, sharing your expressing your emotions, doing that with other people. Music is an art to be shared. It
Hmm.
can be played alone, but the original intention is always something you create music to share with others.
Hmm.
So that is definitely the experience that we're looking for when we're playing live is to share. You know, people can connect with you. You get a good connection when you're playing with your instrument. You know, you get in that state of
Hmm.
flow, and that is basically, you know, the top of the food chain right there when you're in that state, and only achievable through live playing, at least in my experience.
Yeah. Well, one of my goals is to start playing guitar again this year. So
Yeah, yeah. I
I
know you
have to
will,
get to
man.
it. Like, yeah.
Yes, I know you will. You will. You'll eventually get there again. And you know, I've been telling you all this time. You know, you try to motivate you to always get it done. And and just find ways to you know, making that busy schedule some time to get it done because I believe that you can do it, man. I truly do.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, if you believe I can do it, then I believe I can do it.
That's right. That's right, man.
uh, well, you know, I've been asking you all these questions. Do you have anything that you would like to ask me?
Well, I mean, I would definitely would like to find out like where the idea came from you to create the Creative Devices laptops. Did you see something in the market in particular, or where did the idea come from?
A lot of people want to know this, and it makes sense. Um, since we were talking about guitar, it all started from my, I want to say, problem solver brain as a guitar player. I stopped lugging half stacks around when I used to play shows. Um, and I was using this modeler, the Zoom 9 G92TT, something like that. It had two
Yep.
foot pedals and two tubes in it.
Yep.
It
Yep.
wasn't the best. It wasn't the best sounding thing, but because it had two tubes in it, you could kind of saturate it in a way to where it just didn't sound very digital. And if you played it through a speaker cab, it sounded good, right? I was using that for a while. And I kept trying to find something else. I wanted to create a pedal board of only analog pedals to give me a more natural sound. I think at the time Laney came out with their Iron Heart Pulse, I think it was. It was like a little preamp in a pedal that had tubes in it. So I
Okay,
got
and IRT Studio maybe it was called something like that.
no, not the Studio. The Studio was the rack one, but they had an
Okay,
IRT Pulse. It looked like a pedal, and you could
okay,
put it on your pedal board. It had tubes in it.
okay.
And what I did was I took out the 12AX7s and I put in 5751s. They're direct replacements. They just have more headroom, more natural tube compression. So the extra headroom allows me to get an even cleaner sound, and then I can just run analog pedals through it, right? And that's what I did. So I was always thinking I need to be able to get my exact same sound so that I can have it with me anywhere I go in the studio and when I go live. That was the goal. I still need to build that pedal board. By the way, I have all the stuff sitting. I just didn't build it, right? Um, what happened was when I had my studio, there was a couple times where I had to go record bands in other locations. I got a laptop. I went and recorded, and I couldn't really do much, like a little quick rough mix, just like a balance, basically, And I had to come back to the studio to mix it, master it, whatever. And I'm thinking, this is so annoying. Like I can't do what I want to do when I want to do it. Maybe I'm a little selfish. I want to do what I want to do. So I'm thinking there has to be a way. I need to be able to take my studio computer with me wherever I go so I can work anywhere. I don't want to have to wait till I come back to the studio to work. And the only thing that made sense to me was using a laptop that was powerful enough to run the studio. At that time, the only laptops that were that powerful were gaming laptops. So I got a gaming laptop. I ran my studio off a gaming laptop. I disabled the graphics card because I didn't need it. And also, it created issues for audio. The NVIDIA drivers at the time weren't very good. Um, so I got rid of the latency. I had to learn how to do optimizations and all of that and disable the graphics card and disable this and that and all that stuff. And then I went from that laptop to another gaming laptop, which was even more powerful. And people saw when they'd come into the studio, they see that I'm running my studio off of a laptop. They're like, how the hell are you doing this? And they saw what I was able to do with it. And they were like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I want to be able to do the same thing. People kept asking me, well, help me find a laptop, to work on my music because it makes sense. You can work on music anywhere if you have a laptop, right? But again, you had to have a powerful enough laptop, and you could only get that kind of power in a gaming laptop. And not all of them, they were pretty expensive. So not everyone could afford one. Later on, technology got better. Some companies started making laptops with higher end processors, or basically high enough that you need for audio without a dedicated graphics card. But some of them were pricey, and some of them, the processor just wasn't there. Like it was close, but not good enough. It was okay if you were just recording. If you're just tracking, this is great. If you want to do mixing and mastering, you're going to need something more than this. So as I'm helping people, they keep asking me these questions. I'm constantly digging, searching, trying to find a way. And I come across these manufacturers who make laptops for other big name companies. And I was lucky enough to be able to talk to someone who liked what I was trying to do. And they said, yeah, you're right. No one has anything for creators. Everyone's focused on gamers. That's a great idea. They said, so, well, what do you want to do? And I tried to get them to, because they were also making their own laptops. Because you know how they do. You take products from other manufacturers and you make your own version and you sell it. I was just trying to get them to make it, but it ended up being that I had to be behind it. And so I said, all right, let's do it. Show me the list of all the processors that you can get, the most powerful processors you can get for a reasonable price. That had to be the thing. I didn't want people spending way too much money. I knew that it didn't cost that much money for these laptops. So I got the list of processors, and then I saw the one that's in your laptop. I'm sorry, this is long. and I saw the performance, and I saw that it was beating out like the M1, which was popular at the time, and even the 13th gens that came out. I was like, if this is outperforming all of these other processors, then why is it less money? Well, because the new ones had just come out, so now they're expensive, and this one the price went down. Like, but it's still technically a new processor. You know what I mean? And look at the power. Who cares about how new it is? Look at the performance. The performance is everything. That's all we care about.
Yeah.
So I said, let's take that and let's put that in everything. But we only had the one, which is the one that you have. So I said, all right, let's take that. Let's put it in a board with expandable RAM, expandable storage. We want to make sure that the battery can be replaced, the Wi-Fi, like everything that can be replaced or swapped. I want all of that because everyone was taking that away, and I want to make sure that we give all of that back to people. And we found the body style. They had all these different body styles to choose from. The one that you have, that was the newest one at the time. I said, okay, well, it's new. No one else has it. And not on top of that, it looks like what everyone else is used to. So,
Yeah.
let's go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're figuring, well, we're only going to go with one now. We're not going to make a whole bunch of different colors and sizes. What's the most popular laptop size? And after research, we figure out the 15.6-inch body style is the most popular. So we take that body style, we remove some of the extra bezels to give you a 16.1-inch display out of the same body style. And you have that standard color. Everything was great, and the laptop destroyed everything we put it up against, and it
That's
was great. People loved it. You can attest yourself. It's a
yes.
damn good laptop.
And
And
I also sorry to interrupt you,
no,
but I also think we should point out the artists that have tried the computer and all the positive feedback. Other big name artists that are using the machines and all the positive feedback that has been given. That also is a great testament to that all this that you're telling about looking and finding for something specifically for music production. And we can just mention a few of them. Like one of the dudes right now, Jeff Loomis, is having one. Joe Onitan is also having one. There are a bunch of online YouTube producers who are also who have an audience and a platform are also using them and have given great feedback. And that's just a testament also to what you're just saying.
Mhm.
One, the people looking for what they need, and two, the combination of having the power and the workability of the machine with a reasonable priced product. So I just wanted to throw that in there that, these machines are just, besides being used by people who, every day just need for their creation, are also being used by top-notch players in our industry, um, even guitar players, right? Besides
yeah,
producers.
you- you're right. Thank you for that. Yeah. Some of the first people to use our laptops were uh, professional people like uh, Robert McClellan from Home Studio Simplified, guitar player Keith Merrow. They
I
they they
remember.
did the first two videos for our products, and it was after those videos everyone kept saying, "Hey, I saw this one. Talked about your device. I saw that one talk about your device." And then everyone wanted a laptop, and then other people got them and they made videos, and then other people got them and they made videos, and that's just how it went. I didn't pay anyone for these videos. Like, I'm very
That
grateful.
speaks volumes. That speaks
Yeah.
volumes. Because usually reviews are paid.
Yes, they are.
Mm.
And they told me, they said they get paid for this, but because they like it so much, because it's such a good product, and everyone needs to know about it, they're going to make these videos. And I was very grateful.
Yes.
There were a couple people that I reached out to because of that. I said, you know what? Would you like to try our laptop? Just let me know what you think about it, because I know once you try it, it sells itself. You
Yep.
know,
I
and then
agree.
other people message me asking, what's going on with this laptop? I see all these people using it. I said, well, you have to try it for yourself.
That
And
has been my reaction too. I get a lot of people asking me, "What are you using?" Or when I when I promote it, when I hashtag it or anything like that, or tag it on my post, what is that? What does it mean? I usually get private messages asking about the
Mhm.
machines and what's behind them. Why
Mhm.
why are you using it, man? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, give them a rundown of basically what we've been talking about, and how, if you don't want to spend $3,000, there's a very good option out here that you should probably be looking at.
Yeah. It's honestly, I'm very happy. It's like I found something not only for me, because I'm the type of person, if I wouldn't use it myself, I wouldn't recommend it to you. And I'm a very harsh critic when it comes to certain things. It needs to be a certain way. So, and I use these devices personally. So, it, I'm not going to say if it's good enough for me. I'm just a guy. But if it's good enough for these other people that are known, I mean, come on, that should tell you something. You
Yeah,
know?
definitely. It's always the highest form of praise, I think, is when it comes from your peers or for somebody else that's already on a level that they're definitely know what they're doing. And I think that's been the case with Creative Devices, man. I forgot about Keith Merrill also, but I do remember Keith Merrill, Jeff Loomis, Joe Nathan. There's a whole bunch of great, and they're not just guitar players; they're also great producers, and
Mhm.
they have great music out there. And having those people in the you could say just as owners of the machines is a testament to what we've been talking here for a minute about how good these machines are, and where they can go. That's the other thing I could probably ask, and ask where you think, where's Creative Devices heading in the future, man, in the next couple of years.
Well, the goal is to make sure more people know about creative devices. It's hurtful is the
Mhm.
word that I would use when I get messages, and I get messages from people at least 2 to 3 every month. Where how did I not find out about you guys sooner, or where were you guys before? Someone literally messaging me. They had recently bought a new laptop, and after they spent all this money on it, then they find out about us, and now it's too late to return it. And I feel bad. It's like, well, what are we not doing? How can we let more people know that creative devices exist so that stuff like this doesn't have to keep happening? You know?
Yeah,
So that's what we're going to be focusing on now. Trying to make sure more people know who we are. Uh, we putting out more devices. People ask for something, we try to give it to them. Just like we had the one laptop, people said this is great, but what about the people who want to do high quality video stuff like
yeah,
3D rendering, some gaming, high end video work? And then that's when we
the
came out with the graphics Model 16. Then
the
people
mini
wanted to,
PC, the mini PC is a great one that I've been very looking
yeah,
at a lot recently.
right. The mini is great, and it's still portable. You can just put it in a bag or in your pocket and carry it with you anywhere. We've got 14-inch models. Now we have, before there was only the i7 and we had the i9. Now you can have an i9 without the dedicated graphics card, and we have an AMD 16 and an AMD 14. We're just trying to give people, whatever they want. We have different displays. Like I said, the tablet, we have different accessories, merchandise. We're just trying to give people whatever we can. But our goal is we're going to revamp the website to try to make things a little more easily understood for people, because when we started this, we basically built it for people who understands what they're doing. Like if you're a creator, we figure that you're supposed to know enough about your tool to know what you need, like as far as the processor and the RAM and all that stuff. But we've come to find out that people have no idea about any of that stuff. So
No?
we have to basically restructure it to make sure it can be understood by people who don't know what's going on. So we're
Yeah.
working on restructuring the website right now. It will probably be ready by next month sometime, and just more see what other products we can put out. You know, some people ask for touchscreen devices. We don't do touchscreens in our laptops because touchscreens introduce latency, and the whole point was to reduce latency. If you run the latency numbers on our devices versus other devices, ours are significantly lower because we only put what's necessary in those devices to make sure that they perform the way they're supposed to. So for touchscreen devices, if we can get the latency low enough, then maybe we'll go that route. But they'll be specialized devices. They're not going to be just our regular laptops. But we'll see. But again, it's just all about letting the world know who we are, and everyone can help. I'm not
That's
petitioning anything, but if
yeah.
you use one of our devices or you know someone that does, spread the
So
word.
yeah, that's something that I really take to heart, man, because one, it doesn't cost you anything to mention something that you really like and you stand by. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't cost you anything. And sometimes that's all it's needed when you're in your internet world.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it a shout out, the hashtag, or just, hey man, I use these machines, that you should check them out. And just like you were saying, spreading the knowledge of that there is these options with these laptops and what they are, um maybe like you said, making it a little bit more simpler for people like me who don't know. I don't know anything about computers in terms of just the basics. I need more RAM and more storage. That's it. The better, the more the better, right? I'm trying to say. So those things are definitely some big pluses, and I think it'll happen, man. I think in the future, people are going to start seeing them more. They're going to be asking for more too, in terms of what the devices have, and I think that's a natural growth, a healthy growth, and I definitely see it happening. I definitely see it happening. I can't wait to get another one, man. And I already have a good one. And just because one of those things that when you find something good, you can't just, have one. It's like a guitar.
Listen.
When you have a really nice guitar, there's another model really similar to it or something that is
Mhm.
a notch. You want that other guitar too, right? So um, I know Creative Devices is going to make a difference, man, in the creative world, and I'm pretty sure it's going to grow to a point where it's going to be a very known product in the musical industry.
Thank you. Thank you. And you wouldn't be the first to get another one. I'm pleasantly surprised at people who order more. There's a few people that have two, three of our devices. Uh,
That's great.
I don't know what they're using them for. They maybe
I
give
mean,
them
I can
gifts to
tell you
someone
right
else.
away.
You
I
know.
would have one. I would have two. Just two workstations. In the house that I live, I right now I'm in my little small studio, and I'm obviously
Mhm.
using one right now. But when I'm not here, I
Right.
can have a setup upstairs or some other place. I would use another one there, and
Mhm.
also we forgot to mention the oh my god, the uh the displays, and how
Yes.
that also adds another dimension to the laptop. I think there's a 32-inch one that I really was digging. That one would really make the whole experience of the laptop even better if you're looking for that type of setup. So
Yeah.
there's also that's super cool, that I think is a great thing to add to your setup on your computer. I can't wait to do that on mine, because sometimes I just like to have that, you know,
Mhm.
seeing really closely how those waves and those notes are being played on my digital studio.
Yeah, having it connected to a big display, man, it really does make that difference. It really does. And that's what I do too. I have a display, so I have the laptop display and then the bigger display. And if I'm tracking, I'll have the track view on the big
Yeah.
display and the mixer on the small one. And if I'm mixing, I'll have the mixer on the big one and the track view on the small. So, And then sometimes I'll even connect a third display, and I'll have all three because with the laptop you can connect one via HDMI and connect another one via any available Type C port. So you can have two separate displays plus the laptop display is a third. It's pretty dope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's wild. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just having the option to have one it makes a big difference. But yeah, that is also something that I really liked about the computers and obviously having the displays available if you want to do that kind of setup or upgrade. It's
Yeah.
also it's also great.
And the display that we have too, like the 32 that you mentioned, one of the things that's different about that display, I mean, it has a slight curve in it, but it's not over drastic to where you're going to be looking like this. You can still look and see everything from looking straight. But because we use both NVIDIA and AMD technologies, we wanted a display that had both. Because a lot of displays I saw, you had to choose either NVIDIA or AMD sync technologies. You couldn't, it was hard to find displays that had both. So our display has both. It's a it's the same 165 hertz refresh rate, 2K display with both technologies in. So whether you're doing whatever graphics thing you want to do, it can handle it. And even if you're just tracking, it's fine. But the fact that it has both, I think it's a pretty good thing. Um,
Yeah.
we're always trying to find something different, do something different that other people aren't doing. We're like, why does no one have both technologies in one display? So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's thinking outside the box, man. But I
yeah,
mean, just the laptops alone, I mean, there's so much to it in this that man of what they can offer and what they do. Um, I always think of mine as like this, in terms of how I visualize it. Right, it's like this is the starting point, man. You can go from here even much higher. And I really look forward to like the moment I can actually just geek out and get whatever I want, even though I don't need it, but I just want to have it. And just because that speaks volumes to the quality of the customization that you can get, and obviously of what the product is, man. We're so used to buying things with just our eyes, what we see, a brand name, and we don't actually sit down and listen, observe objectively what we're really looking at. And I think Creative
hmm
Devices is one of the things that you have to take a second and really look at it. Really take
hmm
your time and not just look at what your brand names or no. Read the spec sheet. Check out the reviews. Check out people who are using them, who are actually professional musicians or producers. Do that before and have an open mind about that, and you'll see that what they offer is excellent.
I agree. I agree. I
And
think a lot of people, like you said, they look at stuff um, by brand name. So, for example, we talk about Kleenex when we talk about tissue, or Clorox when we talk about bleach.
yeah,
People associate things by brand name. So, and then you have people who like to buy certain things because it's a status symbol. Like, oh, I have a Mercedes because it's a
guitarist,
status symbol,
guitarist,
right? You know,
guitarist is the best example for in our
right?
case.
Or you spent how much money on that Gibson? It's like
4K on Gibson that sounds the same as a $2,000 one.
or I have an Apple. Okay, all right. Well, happy
Yeah,
for you. And
yeah,
that's another thing. And again, I I have nothing bad to say about these other companies. They all make good devices. I don't think they're worth the price, but they make good devices. Now, someone else asked me, "What's why would I buy from you instead of just buying an Apple?" And my response literally is, "Listen, if you just want something that says Apple, then go buy something that says Apple." It's just that simple. But if you want something that's different, something that's more than just something that says Apple, then check out Creative Devices.
yeah, yeah. And a great selling point is always going to be the price. See, because we have to be realistic in terms of how the economy is, how our personal finances are, how we invest in these products, right?
Hmm.
Not everyone that has a computer makes living out of using it.
Hmm.
So besides having all these great specs, there's a really very important other reason to get them is that they're very fair priced, man. In my estimation, for the money you can't get anything better. That's what I think.
I agree. I agree. And the whole point was there are more people who can't afford to spend $3,000 to $6,000 on something, but need to get their creativity out than there are those who can afford to spend it. And even if you can afford to spend it, why would you?
No, yeah,
If you can get something just as powerful, if not more powerful, for a fraction of the cost, what are you spending all that extra money on? You know,
definitely.
it doesn't make any sense to me. Like someone was I was having a conversation yesterday, as a matter of fact, about a pair of headphones for mixing. And they were like, "Oh, the reviews and people were telling me I should get this pair of headphones, $1,200 for a pair of headphones. They're amazing headphones. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, bro, for $1,200, you can get these Austrian Audio HiX65s and a pair of ATH M40X, and the two of those combined will get you where you want to be, and you would have saved. I mean, when you look at that, let's say the HiX65s are 400 and the ATH M40X is 100. That's $500. So now you spent $500 on two pairs of headphones versus $1,200 on one pair of headphones. That's literally more than twice the price for that one pair of headphones. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Even if you
yeah.
can afford it, it's not about whether you can afford it or not.
No.
It's about you don't need to spend all that extra money.
Yeah, yeah. And that's like I said, that's a great point that Creative Devices has.
Yeah.
You don't get more than need. Obviously, depending on your needs, you get what you need. You get the top quality of it, and you get it at a fair price. And you don't have to go through that process of, man, I don't know how much I need of this or that, and how much it's going to cost me. No, that's taken care of. I think when you get one of these laptops,
Yeah.
and that's a great comparison, man. Like I said, people buy things because of the logo they have and not because of what they're actually seeing it done. And that is important because sometimes we put ourselves in that position of spending money unnecessarily when we do have the option. I'm always looking for a better option, but I'm very very clear of what my budget is. Let's put it that way. You know what I
Mm,
mean? There's some things I'm not going to pay for, even if they're the holy
mm,
grail, whatever, because I know there has to be a better option with a much more reasonable price. And usually I'm right.
yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that when I got this laptop, I really felt really comfortable about doing. And I think with our conversations, I think you've seen it that I really believe in them. I really believe in the vision that you have for them, and I really stand by the product, man. It's like I said, that view of more people knowing about it, I think is something that is essential to getting the machines out there and getting them to a point where it's really,
Yeah.
staple in the music production.
Yeah. Well, you know, people are going to realize it's only a matter of time, right? It's only a matter of time. Very mobile podcast, as you can see.
Yeah. That's part of it. Yeah, sure, man.
And again, the reason why I did this is because not everyone has a podcast set up at home, you know, for a professional setup where they can, sit down in front of a mic and a expensive camera and do all of this stuff. But everyone has a cell phone, right? So You can just hop on a video call on your phone and we're good to go. These products were designed for everyone, whatever your budget is. This podcast was designed for everyone. Doesn't matter who you are. If you use one of our devices, you can be on this podcast. And it's set up so that you can be on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be something I'm not, some big name company. I'm not interested in doing that. Even if Creative Devices gets bigger, I'm still this guy. We can still sit down and have a conversation, laugh about fans. And, it's, it's real,
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like I said, man. It's always to me a relationship of friend, real true friendship, comes first most of the time. Um, uh, Before ever jumping into other aspects of life, and I think that's how we actually started out. We were talking about music and all the other stuff way before I really got interested in getting a machine, and then as soon as I did, it just the relationship grew even more because then I knew what the machines were all about. And even with other, I have other endorsements with other companies. I speak to the owners like me and you do on a regular basis, and we have conversations about life, about music, about goals, about business. And I think I always stress that in terms of what I do as a person and how people should actually approach the way the scenario of how things are today with the internet, AI, and all these things that are coming up. You have to talk to people, man. You have to, not just go in there and be all, asking for things or giving opinions about stuff that you don't know. Just, hey, how are you, man? What's your name? What do you like? You like this band? Hey, I saw you playing in this video. I like this. I like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. Simple stuff like that, and then from there, you eventually get to a point where you can, like I did. I purchased one. I understood what it was all about. You helped me along the process, and that's awesome, man. That's vital, very important. I think a key to everything that we're talking about, in terms of the machines, future of creative devices, and just friendships and relationships, man. I always think that's very important when we're talking about these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
I have a machine, so I obviously am part of this, but like you said, it's definitely something for everyone, even if you're not making in a professional $100,000 studio and using it. I mean, but if you have one, it can also be do that.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that.
Absolutely. It absolutely can. And that's one of the great things about it. These devices were built to be able to run a professional recording studio. So whether you're doing that or whether you're just recording at home, you know that you have the same quality. And you see people online who use their devices in their professional studios. It's the same device that you're going to get. You're not going to get a watered down version. You're going to get the same device that they have. Whatever you see they have, if you order that, that's what you'll get. I had some people ask me, well, again, in a different way about our devices versus someone else's device. And, oh, well, I see you guys have this processor or not that processor. You have that graphics card and not that this graphics card. It's like, do you just want that processor or do you just want that graphics card for some reason? Why is it that you think you need that? Because marketing is a strange thing. They lead you to believe that you need this. If you don't have that, you can't do it, which is not really the case at all. You don't need that, right? You don't you we make sure, and believe me, we've been doing audio and video for a long time. We know what's necessary, right? So one guy ended up buying something else because it had a higher number uh, graphics card than our graphics series laptops, and he ended up paying the price for it. And if he had asked me, I would have explained it to him, just like I've explained it to several people. We use a 4060 instead of a 4070, but we put 180 watts into it. So you're going to get 4070 like performance out of that 4060, because if you buy a 4070 in another laptop, it's not going to have that amount of power. So it's kind of balances out, right? Plus, it's not a typical consumer device. There's things that is not in it. It's, again, the latency is better. We're not using plastic shells, so it dissipates heat better. Everything that's done adds up to performance enhancements. Where if you're going to buy something just because this thing has a higher number and you think it's better and it's really not, you just spent money for no reason. Even if the price was similar, you're still not getting similar performance.
Yeah.
But, people are so, I hate to say, brainwashed by the way, people are, they advertise everything basically. I'm tripping over my words here. But that's their job. Their job is to make you believe you need whatever this new thing or whatever this higher thing is, and you really don't.
No, no.
You know?
And I think that's like what we're saying. Like people are just yeah, we could say brainwashed, and also the way that things are being marketed is that they make you believe that you need something that you don't, number one, or something that does not actually fit your needs. And that's when you start kind of have to start kind of thinking outside the box. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Start thinking there must be other people who are doing this same type of work and not spending as much money.
Yeah.
And that's when you start getting creative with your search, with your process. And I'm a big stickler on that, man. I do that with guitars. If I can find a great guitar that has most of what I need, and it's not, something that's completely crazy out of my budget, I'll get it. And I'll use, I know what specs I need to be able to do what I do on the guitar. Same thing with the laptops. I know what I need to be able to do what I need on the laptops. All I need was the transfer language, which is what you did for me. So this is
Mhm.
what I need. Okay, dude, this is what you're gonna have to get to be able to make your computer work like you want it to. And
Yeah.
that's also a plus, because based off our friendship, I could actually have the confidence to ask you, like, hey man, I need your help here because I don't know about these things,
Mhm.
and I want to make the best out of this purchase, right? Out of this investment that I'm going to have with your company and with your products. So I think, man, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of keeping the hard work, the consistency going. There's going to be a lot more people that are going to be interested, and they're going to start considering these machines, creative devices, something much more than just you know whatever people have in mind about. But I truly believe that.
Thank you. Thank you. Man, I'm very grateful for you taking the time to have this conversation with me today, and
Awesome.
answering some questions, sharing your story with us, and even asking me some questions. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, do you have anything else that you'd like to ask me?
No, man. I mean, just those fans, man. I don't know what we're gonna do about them.
Ah,
We
yeah.
have to start putting some labels out there. Please read the instruction manual before you make any comments. But
Oh
no,
man.
man. I think we're good in terms of what's the stuff we've covered so far. Um, and like I said, it's all I have is really good vibes for the future for you and the company. That's what I really strive to. It makes me feel really good to see other people be successful. You know what I mean? And to be part of it because I own one of the machines. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
if you follow anything that I do, you do know that I always tag and post all those all of the different people who are part of my musical journey. And always Creative Devices is on that. and I really dig that. And like I said, I always love seeing growth. You know, like when when I saw that Camaro was trying one of them out, that was a big, you know, for me as personally, that was a big, you know, like fuck yeah, you know, let's go. Same thing with Loomis, you know, and with Joe when they gave it a try, I was like, yes, this is a win. You know what I mean? This is definitely a win, and I hope people really, really start seeing them for what they are. You know. So yeah, man, that's basically it. That's the story behind the magic.
Thank you, man. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more from you and your project. Killer
Yeah,
music,
yeah,
man. Yeah, and anyone who hasn't heard Ed's music, there'll be a link in the description below. Definitely check him out. Follow him on Instagram. You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
amazing, amazing guy, amazing player, just amazing all around.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you're a great guitar player too. We just need to get those fingers loose again.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah,
a lot of work. It's gonna be a lot
but
of work. Thank you.
but I know eventually you'll get back to it, and I'm looking forward for that too. You know what I mean? Share musically also with you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it too.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, man. And we'll talk soon. You know, you and I always talk.
Yeah, yeah. We'll always message away. That's so true.
All right. Have a good one, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you later.
You too, brother. Have a nice one. See you later. Thanks for the
Of
interview.
course. Later.